Welcome back to my podcast, How Not to Retire, a psychological approach to retiring healthy and wealthy. Episode 44, Balancing Independence with Interdependence. Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Richard Himmer. Since I started this podcast, and perhaps for the last 2 years, I've been writing a book. The book's title officially is going to be called Your Encore Years, The Psychology of Retiring. So the idea behind it is, as in this podcast, as has been in this podcast, is to share with you a different way of looking at retirement, from the history of retirement, the history of insurance, the history of financial planning, and why is it so much energy is always put into the numbers and the interest rate. My argument, if you've been listening to this podcast, is that's the wrong emphasis to have, and that you should be working with somebody who knows how to take care of you the proper way. So you are wealthy at retirement, not rich. Rich does not guarantee happiness. Wealthy does. Wealthy is being happy. So what I'm going to do today, this has been on my mind a lot, and I deal a lot with financial advisors and helping them understand this idea, especially when it comes to what we call the DIY prospect, or the do-it-yourselfer. If you've got that engineer-type thinking mind, if you're a doctor or a lawyer, these are the typical ones, the CPAs and whatnot, you have a very low level of trust for the financial industry, and it's probably merited, but you have a very high opinion of what you can do yourself, and that's probably merited. This is a portion of my book I'm going to take right out of the book that helps you understand that there's a balance between your independence and what I would call interdependence, taking care of your spouse, who's typically the second to die, by understanding that a full approach to retirement is not possible when you do it yourself. So I'm going to kind of go right into the book, and I'll probably interrupt myself a little bit every now and then and just throw an idea or two at you. So the first thing I want to share with you is a quote from James Clear. If you want a recipe for unhappiness, spend your time accumulating a lot of money and let your health and relationships deteriorate. In fairness to the story, now I am not against somebody who knows how to work with the markets, accumulate a good amount of money so there's millions in the bank account and you can probably retire and not worry about it. But there is more to it than that, and that's what I want to address today. Retirement is a transition. It's a shift away from financial stress, allegedly, and it's a movement away from the workplace demands towards a life rich in meaning and fulfillment. It gives us each an opportunity to redefine success, but not through numbers on a balance sheet, and that's the emphasis that I'm trying to say, but in the wealth of experiences, relationships, and purposes. As we explore the landscape of retirement planning, having a thoughtful strategy in place is beneficial. While some choose to navigate this journey independently, hence the balance proposition here, collaborating with a knowledgeable advisor can offer clarity and confidence, ensuring that decisions align with both financial security and personal fulfillment. If you could remember one thing, retirement planning should always be with the mind of second to die. As a general rule, and I'm just using generalities, the DIY mind is going to come from the husband. The person who's not going to be brought into the story is the wife. She typically, in such scenarios, either has no interest or the husband has just basically monopolized that process and doesn't share a lot. It's very rare for a DIY couple to exist. It's usually the husband and his wife is not part of the decision-making process. What I'm suggesting to you, and this is coming from psychology as well, that is not financial planning, and that is not an act of love. If anything else you take away from this podcast is that if you choose to do this alone, be totally independent, then please bring your wife in. Let her be a part of it. Don't let her open up a safe upon your death with your handwriting and an explanation of what to do with everything, accompanied with passwords. And there's a story here I'm going to tell that's going to do just that. I recognize that retirement planning is exciting. and that those who enjoy a hands-on approach are the DIY mindset of which I mentioned. However, it's a journey best shared when the spouse or partner's involved. Open conversations, a collaborative planning environment will help ensure that both individuals feel secure and aligned in the vision towards the future. Retirement's not a singular financial exercise, even though the industry, and hence the distrust, is always about money. My argument is that is not the best way to approach it, and it's the reason why there's a high level of distrust within the financial planning industry. This must needs be a shared life transition that benefits from thoughtful discussion and guidance. The spirit of do-it-yourself, the proud DIY ethos, often accompanies us into retirement, just as it did through our working years. It whispers that true success lies in managing every detail alone, that fulfillment grows from solitary mastery. Yet as the arc of life bends towards its later chapters, it invites a reconsideration. What if independence, once so vital, is not the summit, but merely a stepping stone towards something richer? Retirement should not be a single achievement. It rather is a complex unfolding. It touches every corner of our being, our financial, emotional, social, and physical. To treat it as a checklist to conquer alone is to misunderstand its true nature. In reality, retirement asks for more than rugged individualism, the John Wayne approach. It asks for layered wisdom, the courage to be independent, and this is the catch, the humility to welcome interdependence. Carrying the weight of every decision alone can become its own burden. Isolation, overwhelm, and eventual disillusionment often follow the one who insists on walking every path solo. In contrast, those who embrace partnership and community discover that wisdom multiplies when shared. A spouse's insight, a friend's encouragement, a mentor's advice, or a community's support can open doors that no solitary effort could ever unlock. Interdependence is not weakness. It's a higher form of strength. It requires a different kind of bravery, the willingness to trust, to listen, to collaborate. It is in this mutual exchange that retirement transforms from mere freedom into flourishing. True independence empowers us to stand tall. True interdependence teaches us how to lean wisely. The two are not enemies, but companions. We're, in effect, proving contraries, working with paradoxes. Each is incomplete without the other. As we mature, the lines between them blur, or should blur, revealing a more profound truth. Life's greatest abundance is found not in isolation, but in shared purpose. Retirement offers us a profound mirror. Who have we become through our striving? Do we continue to hoard our autonomy, fearing vulnerability, or do we dare to trust that life's richest experiences are those we create together? Are we clinging to competition, measuring worth by solitary achievements, or are we embracing cooperation, where the well-being of the whole becomes a part of our personal journey? The abundance in retirement is not measured solely in assets or accolades. It's measured in connection, meaning, and mutual uplift. Those who choose to weave their independence into the broader tapestry of interdependence find a deeper, quieter satisfaction, one that no trophy or title could ever provide. As you step into this chapter of life, consider what you can achieve alone and what you can create alongside others. Let autonomy be your foundation, but let the community be your masterpiece. In doing so, retirement becomes not an ending, nor merely an escape, but a new beginning, one rich with purpose, belonging, and a more profound and lasting joy. So what is the cost of radical independence? I've met with, been associated with, and are friends with many of these what I call radical independents. The brilliant mindset, right? The DIY, go it alone, or John Wayne type. So I put together a story, an accumulation of people that I've known. And just so you know, when you write stories, you have to come up with names. I get tired of just having other names. So I borrow heavily from things that I read. Just see if you can figure out where I got this one from. Tell and his wife, Angie, shared a life built on love, trust, and deep companionship. After spending decades immersed in a demanding corporate career, Tell became known for his fierce independence and self-reliance. Throughout their marriage, he managed all aspects of their financial lives, freeing Angie to focus on her passions, painting, volunteering at the local animal shelter, and investing her heart in her family and community. As retirement approached, Tell carried these habits forward. He meticulously oversaw their investments. He tracked expenses down to the penny and ensured that every financial detail was accounted for. Together, they attended several financial dinner seminars, and each time Angie gently asked whether they should consult a professional advisor. Tell's answer was always reassuring and definitive. There was nothing a professional could offer that he had not already mastered. Now, before I go on, I want you to know that this is one of those blind spots. You don't know what you don't know. I'm not saying that you should grab any financial advisor out there, but you truly have not fully looked at your situation until you've brought in an interdependent companion, somebody you can trust, because you have not mastered all there is to master within the financial industry. Don't mean to be offensive at all. I'm just telling you I have no bone, no horse in this race. But from the world of psychology, you're not taking care of your loved one. To continue. Angie trusted him without hesitation. His diligence had always been a source of comfort, and she found joy in the freedom his careful stewardship provided. Their retirement unfolded much like their earlier life, steady, secure, and full of quiet adventures, traveling abroad, spoiling grandchildren, and enjoying the simple pleasures of home. Now, side note, who wouldn't want that? That's exactly where we're going, and that's what Tell envisioned for his wife. I love the story thus far because it truly is one of love. Tell does love her, and he feels very comfortable. She trusts him and feels very comfortable. But life's certainties are often more fragile than they appear. One afternoon, while biking with friends, Tell suffered a massive heart attack and passed away instantly. Angie's world collapsed. She mourned not only the profound loss of her soulmate, but also the quiet foundation of security he had so carefully built beneath their shared life. Again, just a side note. This reminds me of a very dear friend of mine, and this is where part of the story was based. That part I experienced. They were very good friends of mine, and he did actually die. He was a racer, and he was right next to retirement. Opening the safe, so we're going now past. In the days following his death, amidst overwhelming grief, Angie discovered a letter tucked inside a small, rarely used safe. In Tell's familiar handwriting, the letter contained detailed instructions, lists of investment accounts, passwords, insurance information, and a roadmap to the financial architecture he had maintained alone. Along with it was a bundle of keys, both literal and symbolic, to the life he had guarded so fiercely. Opening the safe, Angie was immediately overwhelmed. Stacks of unfamiliar financial documents, spreadsheets, and tax records stared right back at her. Though Tell had tried to shield her from the burdens of financial management out of love, he had unintentionally left her unprepared to step into the role he had managed so independently. Financially, Angie was secure. Tell had made sure of that. Yet emotionally and practically, she felt adrift. She lacked the experience and confidence to navigate the intricate web of accounts and decisions now resting solely on her shoulders, with no one else to talk to. Retirement planning, she realized painfully, must always be done with the second to survive firmly in mind. Tell's radical independence, once a virtue, had become a hidden vulnerability. By managing everything himself, without collaborative planning or professional support, he inadvertently isolated Angie from the security he had worked so hard to provide. Their story reveals a critical blind spot many couples share: the failure to address the emotional and practical dimensions of intentional living in retirement. Complete retirement planning is not merely about money, but about preparing for life's inevitable transitions with transparency, shared knowledge, and mutual empowerment. What might have been different had Tell trusted a financial advisor to guide them both? What if he had welcomed Angie into the day-to-day financial management, giving her trust, agency, and understanding? By choosing collaboration over radical independence, he could have strengthened not just their financial security, but also Angie's confidence and peace of mind. The psychology of money is deeply personal, shaped by our life experiences, fears, and hopes. True wealth is not measured solely by accumulated assets, the interest rate of return, because you can do as well as they can do, but by the ability to live with confidence, purpose, and connection. A fulfilling retirement is built on intentional choices that reflect our deepest values, not just financial figures, but the relationships and legacies we nurture along the way. In the end, the greatest gift we can give those we love is not the illusion of protection, but the reality of preparation. It is the invitation to walk the journey together, sharing knowledge, embracing vulnerability, and building a future rooted in independence, partnership, trust, and therefore interdependence. So how much money does it take to retire comfortably? This is the question most often asked and answered by focusing solely on numbers. Yet a more profound and rewarding approach begins with a different question. What kind of life do I want to create? Retirement planning becomes something much greater by shifting the focus from the mere accumulation of money to the intentional creation of a life rich in purpose, joy, and fulfillment. It evolves into a thoughtful, step-by-step process that integrates financial wisdom with personal meaning. Finding a financial advisor capable of guiding such a journey is rare and invaluable. It requires more than technical knowledge. It demands the art of problem finding. Now, you'll remember if you've been listening, I have covered problem finding and problem solving, but this will be a little bit of a review. Actual expertise is not simply solving the issues clients present, but actually uncovering the deeper questions they may not yet know to ask. A problem finder, think about husbands, wives, think about parenting, listens carefully, looks beyond the surface level concerns, and assists clients explore the heart of their dreams, challenges, and values. Unfortunately, many advisors, and this is why the industry itself has a low level of trust, many advisors operate with a limited set of tools, primarily stocks, bonds, insurance products, and annuities. DIY specialists have even fewer tools. Much like a builder with only a hammer or a mechanic armed with a single wrench, they may fix immediate problems without addressing the underlying structural needs. In contrast, a problem-finding advisor acts like a seasoned detective, wielding many tools and asking the right questions to reveal the deeper financial and lifestyle challenges influencing a client's future. Okay, I'm going to share another story with you. Again, very familiar to me because I know so many people in these situations. Let's consider the story of Sid and Melissa, a couple who approached a traditional advisor seeking help with portfolio management. The advisor quickly recommended a series of mutual funds without probing further. Later, deeper needs emerged when they met with a different advisor who was more focused on problem finding. Sid dreamed of opening a woodworking studio in retirement, and Melissa hoped to spend part of each year volunteering abroad. These goals required a different financial strategy, including liquidity planning, international tax considerations, and a flexible work-retirement balance. Without a deeper conversation, these dreams would have remained hidden, and the financial plan would have been misaligned with their actual aspirations. Sadly, the financial services industry has earned public distrust. High-pressure sales tactics and one-size-fit-all solutions have left many clients skeptical and wary. When advisors focus more on selling products, getting a high interest rate, than understanding clients, suspicion naturally follows. Yet, true wealth is not about piling up assets or chasing returns. It's about aligning your money with your identity, your values, and purpose. It's about recognizing that financial resources are a tool, a means to create a life that is deeply satisfying, connected, and meaningful, not an end in and of itself. Advisors who practice problem finding understand this truth. They know that fulfillment in retirement comes not from numbers alone, but from intentional choices that reflect the client's authentic desires. They work with clients to clarify their goals first, then craft strategies that serve those goals, not the other way around. There's much wisdom in the old Chinese proverb, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago." The second best time is now. Retirement also offers fertile ground for planting the seeds of long-held dreams and neglected passions. Whether you postponed a love of art, travel, service, entrepreneurship, music, it's never too late to cultivate a new beginning. With the guidance of a thoughtful problem-finding advisor, someone who listens deeply, asks hard questions, and seeks to understand before prescribing any solution, you can create a retirement that is not just financially sound, but emotionally and spiritually rich. That's called interdependence. When seeking financial advice, look beyond credentials and performance promises. And just a side note, if they lead with performance promises, you've probably got the wrong person. Look for an advisor who values inquiry over assumption, who prioritizes your story over their sales agenda. Find someone who helps you articulate your vision of a meaningful life and then walks beside you, building a plan that supports that vision at every turn. By doing so, you will secure your financial future and open the door to a retirement filled with purpose, fulfillment, and the kind of lasting satisfaction that no investment return alone could ever provide. That is wealth over riches. They call themselves wealth advisors. They do not understand what they just said. They don't know what they don't know. They're asset advisors, asset managers. A wealth advisor understands that true wealth has more to do with your connections, the psychology, your identity, purpose, the way you structure your day, your goals and ambitions, has almost nothing to do with money. Although, if done correctly, the money can support your wealth. So start with the wealth and then go towards the money. Retirement is not simply the conclusion of a career. It's the beginning of a new life chapter. Make it a chapter written intentionally, with purpose and joy as its guiding themes. And I'll conclude today's episode with another quote from James Clear. If you already live a comfortable life, choosing to make more money but live a worse daily life is a bad trade. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to keep working for the sake of making more money. And yet, we talk ourselves into it all the time. We take promotions that pay more, but swallow our free time. We already have a successful business, but we break ourselves trying to make it even more successful. In other words, there is excessive emphasis on money and insufficient emphasis on lifestyle. your wealth. Remember, the key to success is not trying harder, but trying different. Until next time.